Fam, Emu might be the first villain who looked at Gear 5 Luffy and said, nah, keep the transformation. I want you awake. Because One Piece chapter 1189 is brutal. After one hit from Emu, Luffy is pinned against the Atom Tree, coughing blood, losing Haki and getting marked over Ace and Sabo, and Emu is already reaching into his inventory for another legendary weapon. Like, bro is weapon spamming. No cooldown, no stamina bar, nothing. Anyway, welcome to the One Piece Club, right? It's free to join, like, comment, subscribe, follow, and let's keep going. Anyway, this chapter, One Piece 1189, titled King of the World, it finally shows us what happens when Luffy meets somebody who is not impressed by Gear 5 at all. The cover request this time has Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji sitting in the Caesar as the three wise monkeys while being lectured by Nami for them causing trouble. Luffy is see no evil, Sanji is hear no evil, and Zoro is speak no evil. And in this, Sanji is still looking at Nami with hearts in his eyes, so this punishment is clearly not working. But this is also a cover request, a fan cover request, so I'm not pretending Oda hit the ending of One Piece inside of the cover request. But it is kind of funny that this chapter called King of the World begins with see no evil, hear no evil, and speak no evil. That has always been the world government's policy for 800 years. Do not see Emu, do not hear the truth, and definitely do not speak about the Void Century. Okay, now enough about the cover page, because Luffy, our GOAT Luffy, is dying. So, the chapter opens exactly where the last chapter ended. And the editor does Luffy no favors, okay? He says, Luffy after just one hit from Emu. One hit! Luffy is still in his giant form, cloud-covered Gear 5 form, but Emu drives the sword through him and into the tree. The tree dries out around the blade, and later Emu confirms that the weapon feeds on life force. Like, this is not just damage. Emu is draining him. And Luffy does not say one word during the entire chapter. Not one. He screams, he coughs, he reacts even. But he never talks back this chapter. Like, this is the same man who will be half dead and still announce he's going to become the Pirate King. Kaido knocked him out how many times? Threw him off the island, killed him, and Luffy came back talking shit. Here, Emu keeps him conscious, but takes away his ability to respond. This feels less like a normal defeat and more like an execution, in my opinion. And Gear 5 is still active. His Haki is weakening, his life force is being drained, he cannot move, but the white hair, clouds, and transformation still remains. Why? Is the heartbeat keeping him alive? Is Luffy forcing the form to stay active? Or is Luffy's devil fruit reacting to Emu? That needs its own discussion because this review will become more than 30 minutes long if I start it now. For the moment, Luffy looks finished, but Nika has not appeared yet. Now, far away from the fight, Usopp turns around and says that he's worried about Luffy. Nami asks why he's suddenly being negative, and Loki says, yeah, Luffy is gonna be fine because he already defeated the giant woman. Then Jinbei actually gives us the information. Luffy's Haki is suddenly weakening. So guys, I do not want to hear any overhype about Usopp in this chapter. He did not explain the Haki drop, Jinbei does. But Usopp is the first person there to feel that something is wrong. And I think Oda is reminding that he does have observation Haki, even though he's done nothing with it. 431 chapters since chapter 758 when Usopp awakened his observation Haki and saved Luffy and Law from Sugar. That reminder was necessary, we get that, but there's still nothing that has been done with Usopp until this point. And this island is supposed to be his arc. Now, if this is Usopp's entire Elbaf payoff, absolutely not. I'm restarting my count. As a setup before a real moment happens, I like it. Dressrosa showed us that Usopp can identify specific people from an impossible distance. Maybe Elbaf develops that into sensing changes in someone's Haki or physical condition. Like, just do not leave it here, Oda. We've been waiting for a while. And Loki is also getting angry because Jinbei says that he's already defeated, which is hilarious, yo. Bro, you're lying on the ground, covered in blood. I get it, you lasted longer than Luffy, right? Your health bar is blinking red, my guy. Red, and you're still fighting saying, yo, my G, who's defeated? Now, Brook and the others thaw Shuri finally, and Brook immediately recognizes her. He asks what happened all those years ago while Ratatoskr is out there screaming, do not warm that woman up. And the squirrel has a point. From Ratatoskr's perspective, Shuri is dangerous. She was under Emu's control, attacking Elbaf, its land, and freezing her stopped the threat. Brook says it was not her fruit and calls her someone who was basically a daughter to him. That line matters because later Emu gets obsessed with Luffy, Ace, and Sabo having different names. One chapter gives us Brook choosing Shuri as family and Emu insulting three brothers because they are not connected by name. I'm leaving that there for now, but Oda knew what he was doing. Then Hadruden arrives. Actually, no. Hadruden crashes. He brings Gerd and Chopper down on the cloud canoe, and at full speed, And then Chopper has to use guard point to actually save them, basically as an airbag. Hadrudin drives a cloud canoe the same way Zoro follows directions. He drives a canoe the same. Bro, he has no sense of direction. Now, Gert begins to treat Loki. Chopper gets complimented and pretends he hates it as usual. And Loki tells Hadrudin he's wasting his time just standing there. For somebody or someone who cannot move, Loki still has plenty of energy to order people around. Then Jaru tells Hadrudin to go back up because saving the children matters, but it only creates a temporary break. The real objective is the complete subjugation of Elbaf by force. Then Jaru asks the obvious question. Did the Reverie really approve of this? Did nearly 200 kings vote to kidnap giant children, possess Elbaf, and turn Elbaf into a military asset? Of course not. There's somebody else at the center of all of this, and I like that Jaru does not need a poneglyph to reach the truth. He looks at the government's side of the story and says, this makes no sense. Then Hadrudin asks Loki if he knows who this person is. Dun dun dun. The juicy part begins. Okay, now, before Loki answers, we return to Imu. Imu says Luffy cannot move because the sword feeds on life force, then asks how many slashes can he survive? And this is where Imu starts attacking Luffy personally. He calls Monkey D. Luffy a detestable name, then brings up his two elder brothers, one being slain by the Navy, the other is a prominent member of the Revolutionary Army. Luffy still cannot answer. He looks up, bleeding, while Imu pulls out Fragarash. I love that name. While Imu pulls out Fragarash, I love that name, right? And drives another blade through him. Like, this is cold. 2 blades. Before this, Luffy and Imu were ideologically enemies. Freedom against control, Nika against the person who defeated Joy Boy. But Luffy has never met Imu. And now Imu has tortured him, mocked Ace's death, insulted Sabo, and called their brotherhood ill-mannered because they have different names. This is personal now, and we can tell from Luffy's facial expressions, even though he can't talk. Loki recognizes Imu as the person Shanks warned him about, and we get another flashback to the night Harold died. Loki wants revenge immediately. Shanks admits that he wants revenge too because he considered King Harold a friend, a true friend, but he tells Loki to think clearly. The government just tried to take over Elbaf. Their first priority should be preparing for war. Shanks is not telling him to get revenge here, right? Or forget revenge. He wants the same enemy. He's telling Loki that anger without target is useless. Loki says he wants everybody connected to the world government, and Shanks asks who is actually responsible, then gives him the answer. The one who tries to use Harold is the king of the world, right? The one who tried to use Harold is the king of the world. He is our enemy. Yaru refuses to believe it because the world government supposedly has no single ruler. Loki reacts the opposite way. If there's only one secret king, things just got easier. Take his head and go home. Except Shanks says the king's power is immeasurable, and this is assuming Loki can even reach the Holy Land. Then Shanks mentions the one person who managed to get that far, and Oda shows rocks, right? It finally makes Loki stop lashing out, because rocks is the example of somebody who reached the center of the world, and Imu is still sitting there. This is the warning. Shanks says that they did not need to rush into a fight yet. Loki tells him to stop bossing him around and leaves anyway. I felt like that was a subtle agreement. I recognize who killed Rocks, so I'm gonna just chill for a little bit. I'm gonna do it your way. In the present, Loki admits that during those years away from Elbaf, he never got to even reach Imu. Now the king of the world has finally come directly to him. Of course, Loki sees this as his perfect chance, but bruh, you're still down. Hadrudin calls him simple-minded, correct? Then he says he has no objection to taking down their father's enemy. And I need these brothers to fight together. After everything Harold's choices did to their family, Loki and Hadrudin standing together against the person who controlled him will be one of the best payoffs of this arc. Now, Nami asks another good question. If the world has a king, what role do the 5 elders serve? Honestly, they are probably Imu's department managers, okay? They ran the world government while Imu stays hidden above them. We've already seen this, we've seen the connection. But I like that Nami is asking these questions because this is an unreal conversation for the Straw Hats. They are learning the structure of the world from a bleeding giant who could not even reach the final boss. Let that sink in, let that digest for a second. Now, Ratatasker explains that Shuri was frozen because she was dangerous, and Brooke insists that she was being controlled. Then Robin hears Chopper translating the squirrel talking and immediately tells him to come to the library, right? Saul is coming too. Now, since Chopper can speak to animals and there's a giant owl connected to that library, I think we know why Robin wants him. This is a good use of Chopper, right? Let the doctor, translator, and animal expert solve something instead of giving him another form. Could this also be Robin trying to explain the polytext and the mural to Chopper? Me not know, okay? I don't know. Back to Luffy, right? Imu says that, oh, well, the third weapon is here. And the third weapon is Xingtian, the axe. A third weapon. Imu is changing ancient weapons like a fighting game character switching loadouts. Now, at the Sea Cloud port, Zoro uses King of Hell because he's already in fight, right? 3-sword style, 103 mercies. Dragon Damnation. The same finishing attack that took down King. Summers blocks it with Graham and laughs. I'm not immediately saying that Summers is stronger than King, but this is not the same Summers Gaban fought earlier. Dude is juiced up. Imu revived him through Omen. His powers increased, and he now has weapons from the House Shepherd. That is a completely different version of this character. Summers then explains the empty throne. 800 years ago, the 19 kings who created the world government made a vow of equality and placed their swords around the throne. But Summers calls these the 19 world weapons. They were laid to rest there, and when Imu revives descendants of those houses through Omen, they gain access to them. Graham belongs to the House Shepherd. Longinus belongs to the House Rimushifu. And Imu is using the same arsenal against Luffy. So the symbol that was supposed to prove nobody ruled the world became the Secret King's personal weapon lock. This is disrespect on a historical level. Imu did not just sit on the empty throne. Imu turned the original promise of equality into a power source for the families who broke it. There's a bigger discussion here about what these weapons are, how Omen grants access, and whether Lily's house has a missing weapon. That topic gets its own video. I can't even talk. Sanji gets one panel with Longinus because Oda apparently believes that this is enough food for Sanji fans this week. It's basically not. Same as Usopp. But Zoro and Sanji are now facing Holy Knights with regeneration, Omen, and advanced Haki or enhanced Haki, Devil Fruit abilities, and ancestral weapons. At the beginning of Elbaf, the enemies looked annoying. Now they look like endgame opponents. Now, before Imu raises Xingtian over Luffy and says he should feel honored to be defeated by the arm that constructed the world. Fam, during all of those speeches, Luffy has still not spoken yet. He's bleeding, his Haki is fading, 2 weapons already driven inside of him. He's been stabbed by 2 weapons. Then Gaban blocks the third one, Xingtian. No speech, no explanation, just axe to axe. A perfect entrance for a member of the Roger Pirates, right? I do not think that 78-year-old injured Gaban is about to defeat Imu, by the way. But I do not think that Oda brought him in like this just to remove him in one panel. His job is to probably separate Imu from Luffy, block a few attacks, remove the sword, and buy time. This scene actually feels like Rayleigh stopping Kizaru from killing Zoro at Sabaody. One of Roger's old monsters stepped between the new generation and an enemy they are not ready to face. Earlier, Gaban questioned whether Luffy was worthy of Roger's legacy. Stepping in here gives us his answer, or it basically answers that question. Overall, One Piece Chapter 1189 is one of the strongest chapters in Elbaf. Luffy suffers a defeat that feels humiliating instead of temporary. Like, this defeat is so humiliating, bro. He cannot even speed this chapter. Not once. Usopp gives some observation Haki reminders after 431 chapters, but will this actually pay off? Brook reaches Shuri. Chopper gets called to the library. Shanks confirmed through a flashback that he knew the king of the world years ago. Rocks became Shanks' warning against rushing towards Imu, and the 19 world weapons completely changed the Holy Knights. And finally, Gaban arrives before Imu to stop him before he can actually execute Luffy. I'm giving this chapter a 9 out of 10, I'm gonna be honest with you. It can become a 10 depending on what comes next, because almost every scene is setting something else bigger. Can Gaban hold Imu back? Is Usopp's real Elbaf moment finally beginning? And what exactly are those 19 weapons? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. I appreciate you guys watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Subscribe, my people, subscribe. Till next time, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.